a little disclaimer before we start. If you like a plane, simply like it and you fly it a lot and it's not tier 1 or 2, but just buy a talisman for it. It's 50% off. It's gonna be like what, 500 to 800 GE. The jets might be like 1000, but that's still only $6. And the progress benefit you get from it is definitely worth it. So in a general rule, if you like it, talisman it. And a general rule number 2, the cheapest way to go is and the fastest way to go is mostly buy a tier 3 or tier 4 premium and then talisman a tier 5 or tier 4. It depends a bit on what you want, but I would say get a tier 3, grind up until tier 4, get a good tier 4, because there's any 3 there's a good tier 4 premium. You got the FOU 4B, you got a lot in the German line, you got like 3 or 4 in the USSR line, you got a lot of choice in the British line. You don't have a lot of choice in the US or in the Japanese line. So you might want to be a bit more specific with that one. Italy, it's a very good tier 4, but the premium tier 4 is also very good, so I just recommend you get the G55S. And the French 3, you don't really have a lot except for just get Yak 3, talisman this thing, and you got all the jets except for these 2, and if you really want to, you can talisman this. That's a very quick rundown. I'm gonna be much more in depth in the upcoming 25 minutes. Timestamps will be in the description, so feel free to check those out so you don't have to listen to me for 25 minutes to find a plane you want. Without further ado, this is all post commentary, so it might sound a bit different and my throat might be a bit more sore than the 25 minutes coming up. But without further ado, let's get into it. Today we're gonna look at which planes you should talisman, which planes you should buy as a premium. I'm a bit late, so the US one won't be on the actual sale. The USSR one probably won't be either, or I will be uploading it like 1 hour before it ends, so it will be kind of useless. I will be going 3 by 3. We'll put timestamps down below and we'll try to make it as quick as I can. I will start with the talismans. I want to go tier for tier, but not every deck tree has a good proper thing to talisman. Mostly I do advise you to get a tier 3 premium, because those aren't very expensive. Like the F4, very good plane, but you will fight all the F4s a lot, because you fight Germans quite often. If you want to go for the talisman route, I would say get the F2A1, and you can grind all the way up here and you get the P39N or the FU1A. Those planes are extremely good. I will do future videos on why they're so good, but in short, this thing has a very good low speed performance or low altitude performance. It rivals some 4.0, 5.0s even, below 3 kilometers. Above that it will start to struggle a bit, and the 37 might be a bit of a problem. The talisman itself isn't very expensive. It's $430 at the moment because, well, they're on sale and they will be for a little bit. Same for the FOU 1A. Very fast, very cheap, and this is one of the most broken planes in the game. And I mean it. It's faster than pretty much anything. You will need some kind of a brain to play it. It's not very easy, but once you get it down, and it's not very hard to get down. Once you get it down, it is very good. XP55 is a very good plane, but I don't recommend you to buy it because it's quite expensive. I don't have the price right here, but I believe it's like 4,000 for tier 2 premium. There's more of a collector's edition, or if you like the club in it. And the other planes here aren't really worth it. The A6M2 might be fun if you like these planes, but other than that, these are gift planes. And that's from a pack. This one is very good if you can get your hands on it, but I doubt most people can. This thing is hot garbage actually, so don't get that one. This one is very good, but again, you will fight all the 109s a lot, and fighting 4 of your own plane might be a bit troublesome. This one is good, although I do not recommend you to talisman it. And this one on the other hand is extremely good. This is one of the better planes at 4.7, and if you have this thing, just talisman it if you want to grind for the tier 4s. The FU4 is good, but I wouldn't really recommend it, and these aren't really good. This one isn't really worth it. This is pretty much an FU1A, but at a higher BR. P63s are potent. If you want to talisman any of these, get the A10, probably the best one in this line. P61 isn't really worth it. P38s, the higher tier ones, aren't really good, so I don't recommend it. The same with this thing. If you like P51s, you know, you're kind of in a struggle here. I would say get the D5. The D30 is good as well, but it's a higher BR, and I'm not very... I wouldn't recommend these two. I wouldn't. I would recommend this one, although you will fight jets a lot, so if you don't enjoy that, I really don't recommend you to do it. FU4B, definitely one of the strongest contenders for the best talismans in the game. 850 on sale, very cheap, and it's really good. You have almost 1000 rounds, A&M trees are very potent, so I wouldn't be too afraid to get this thing. F8 F1, definitely not. F8 F1B used to be really good, but right now it's actual trash. It might be good in some hands, but I think it's objectively one of the worst planes to fight jets in. Of course, not considering the Kia 84s, but we'll get to that in a bit. The F7F is good, but I don't recommend it. Like, it's one of those planes that's kind of fun to fly. Fun to fly in a squad even, but this thing is very stressful if you fly it alone, which I can very much tell you I have experience with. P47M, it's a good plane, but you have to carry in it, and the web is kind of limited, so I don't really say get it. Although it's good, it might be a bit stressful, but it's definitely good. This one is unfortunately for you all a gift plane or an event plane. This one is actual garbage. This one is kind of good. LF9 is good, but I don't really recommend it, especially to the price that it has normally. 198.8, definitely not. P38K is good, but it's kind of hard to get your hands on it. F7, F3 again is good, but you can get it. The A2D, it's a good plane, and the R2Y2 airspan will be lowered rather soon. So this thing might be a lot more potent then. I'll have to look into that, but right now, is it worth it? On sale, definitely. It's a fun plane. You saw the video I did a little bit ago. It might be a bit stressful versus R2Y2s. The F80A5. Probably one of the better 7.0 jets in the game to learn with. So, I don't know if you want to fly this thing a lot, if you like it. It is good enough to do so, especially with the R2Y2 airspan getting lowered. F2H is definitely not worth it. F84B is the biggest mistake I've ever made. F84G is pretty good. I would recommend it. 1100 only. On sale, that is. So it would be 50% more normally. A5 I wouldn't recommend. F25 I wouldn't recommend, because the F2 is so much better. And the guns really make the F2. So the F25 is the F2 without the good guns. And you're fighting supersonics, you want those guns. F9Fs, the F2 is good, but the F5 is very good. So if you can talisman any of these, I definitely recommend this one. Should always, yeah, that's 1150 as well. It's good at what it does. F9, F5, I don't really recommend talismaning tier 6s. For the sole reason, you already almost done here. And you can only grind this tree with it, because this tree really won't get any unlockables. If you really want to do anything, the F2 or the F100 is a very strong contender. F2 is very nimble, the F100 is very sluggish, but you know, it's fast, it's supersonic, and you get a lot of the 9.0 games. Down tiers, you got 4 missiles, you got a lot of guns. Easy to carry in, as long as they don't have MiG-19s. On to the next tree. There is really not a lot in tier 1 that I should recommend you to buy. As per usual, if you want to get anything, get the C202. For tier 2 it's a bit better. You got the BF109 E7, which is very good, so you can get your silver lions in the meantime as well. The Heinkel 100 is of course extremely good. It's a very cheap one as well. It's only 265 at the moment. The 109 E1 is one of the better planes, the more diverse planes at 2.0. It clubs pretty much everything. Most people say that this thing is better, but I disagree, because this thing is still fast enough to get away from almost anything this thing gets away from, but this one also can turn fight almost anything in return, and everything you can turn fight you can simply run or climb away from. The 190A1 is good. Do I recommend to talisman it? No, I do not. A4 is the same story, and these two, I don't know, it's not really worth it considering you have the E1 at a lower BR. So I would just say, either get this thing, or get this thing. You can also just talisman the E4 over here. which is the same as the E7. Because you probably don't have this one. It's the E4, my apologies. Rank 3, we start getting a little bit more of the better stuff. The LAF5, I don't recommend you to get actually, because it kind of got clubbed. As in, the flight model got curbed completely. The P47D is good, but I don't really recommend it, because it doesn't fit in at all. But it might net you some good silver lines as well, because it's a 4.3 premium. You get quite a bit of bonus. So if you really want to, you can always get this thing. The G2, if you do have it, is one of the better ones in this whole line. So I do recommend you to fly that one. But otherwise, get the F4. Don't get the drop. The drop is a little bit worse. And otherwise get the G2. The G2 and the F4 are kind of similar, but the G2 has a better thrust to weight, whereas the F4 turns a bit better. Other than that, they are kind of similar. For rank 4, what to get? The D13 is good. I think it's too much, a little bit too expensive, but if you don't have premiums, it's always worth it, and you can only have to buy one. Just don't get the tier 5 premiums. It's not worth your money. This one is half the price of this one. You get premium time and golden eagles with it, and you can grind all the way up to here. All you cannot grind is these 3 planes. If you're already here, however, I do recommend you to either get the G6 if you like it, the K4 if you like it again. Don't get these two 190s, they're good but they're not worth the talisman. The D9 is very potent as well, you can always put a talisman on that one. You get the TAL 152H1, which is very strong. If you can pay for the repair cost, which not a lot of you can, well, that's a bit of an... Nah. If you can pay for it, but you don't have to be able to, then I do recommend you to get this one maybe as well. Just pick one, don't pick them all, it's not worth it. For the price, 950 is very cheap. This one is probably the same, 950 as well, and the G6 might be a bit cheaper because it's a bit lower, it's 700. So in terms of price, I'd say get the G6. For tier 5, I got this one, but I think that your best talisman in the tier 5 premium or Germans is the Horten 229. It's not the best to learn jets in, but it's very good. And these, again, I don't really recommend you the talisman anything, but if you really want to, I would actually say get the CL13B. Even though you're already done grinding and you only need one more plane. And this talisman is back, way back, when I just started jets, and this thing was a lot more potent, and even back then I hated it. So, that's on you. The Russians, what to get. Tier 1, again, there isn't much. If you really want anything, get the Yak 1. Not very expensive, really low tier. Then we get into rank 2. These premiums aren't really worth it, so I would either say get the Yak 1B, very strong, and the other ones are kinda not worth it in my opinion. Then you get into rank 3, we get a little bit more of the better planes. If you can ever get your hands on this one, it might be on sale after the sales we have this week. This thing is very strong, so I recommend you to grab that thing. It's very cheap as well, it's mostly like 15 bucks on the sale, and it's one of the better 3.0 rank 3 premiums, even planes in the game. This thing is very potent, but I don't really recommend you to get it, because I don't see people fly this thing forever, because it's kind of odd to fly, it feels really weird. Playing on these two coming up rather quickly. With the Yaks, I would say skip the 90, skip the 9K, don't get the 3P, it's very similar to the Yak 3, and in my opinion has worse guns. The Berezins are very good, and this thing only has the upgraded Shavaks, which I don't really recommend. On to rank 4. Yak 9U is extremely good. Yak 9P is good, but I don't like it. 9T, UT, is it good? I actually have no idea, but I don't think it's worth the BR. If you want to get a 5.7 Russian, get this thing. But then again, it's very expensive. If you can get it on sale, do it, because it's good. But the Shavaks really just kill me. This one is a bit better because there's 3 of them, but again, the flight model is very bland, and I think you really can't keep it up. The LA7 is extremely good. The LA9 is good. Although you might see some up tiers because it's 6.0, so that's a bit stressful. On to rank 5. not really worth it. Yak 23 is good, but I wouldn't say talisman it, because of the guns, it's not very consistent to get good kills with. The MiG-9 late is extremely good. This thing, if you have it, you can grind everything. I grinded the MiG-15, the MiG-15 bis and the MiG-17 in 2 days with it. And it was an absolute blast. I loved it. I still do. It's one of my favorite 7.3s, 7.0s. IL-28, don't ask why I have a talisman on that thing, because I'm not gonna explain. And the premiums, that's like the event plane, and this thing is not very worth it. This is a very old event plane, so you probably won't see this in your tech tree. The P-47 might be good, but I don't recommend it. This thing might be very good as well. If you have it a lot of people do. If you have this thing, you don't really need to get the rest. On to Britain, which is a bit of a pain for me in my opinion. Rank 1, nothing I recommend you to get. Rank 2, if you really want anything, get the Typhoon 2A or 1A or the Mark 2B Spit. On to rank 3, Typhoon again, 1B late, very strong plane, made a video on it as well, so if you want to check out how to fly it, you can check it out over there. These planes aren't really worth it in my opinion anymore, because this thing is very good actually. 4.3, that's Hispanos, and I know a lot of you don't really like Hispanos, but this plane is very strong. This one has Hispanos as well, but it has 4, so it's not as much of a problem. These two, well, you know, don't do that. This thing, I'm not sure if you can actually get this thing anymore, but don't get it. This thing is better stock than this thing is overall. On to rank 4. Tempest Mark 5 is good, but it's not easy to fly, but if you get it down, it's very capable. Spit Mark 16, I don't recommend you get this one. LF9, it's good, but it might be stressful, but if you do like Spitfires, you will like this thing definitely. The Griffins, if you want to talisman any of these, I recommend you either get this one or this one. This one I talismaned when it was 6.3 and identical to the Mark 22, and I just like the skins and the bomb loads in case I had the ground pound, so I picked this one. But this one is very good, so is this one. But I'd probably say get one of these, because they're 5.7. Do not, however, get this one, the Prendergast, sorry. Clipped wings on a Griffin, you turn a bit worse, you bleed way more speed, and this thing isn't very fun unless you really know what you're doing, or you're in a squad, then this you might get away with this thing. If you really want to get a tier 4 premium, then I would actually recommend getting this one. It's a Griffin 5.7 with premium bonus. What else do you want? The Seafires, I don't really recommend you to get. The Sea Fury is good fun, but you have to like it. It's very much of a niche plane. The Hornet, but you have to go through this whole line, so mostly you could have grinded towards something else you wanted and grinded that instead and get a talisman on it. But it's good. It might be a bit frustrating how stiff it is, but it's good. For rank 5, don't get Reaper yet again. Canberras, the Mark 6 is very fun to fly, but I wouldn't say it's worth a talisman. The Attacker is extremely good, so if you really want to talisman any of these tier 5 planes, get the Attacker FB1. The Meteor Mark 3 I talismaned back when the 10 F-84s, when you mainly fought 262s, and it was very good. Right now it's still good, but it's not really worth the talisman anymore, considering you have this thing as well. The Vampire I wouldn't recommend. The Venom I got for free, and I still don't fly it, if that says anything. The Mark 8 Meteor might be a good talisman if you do like it, but you have to go through so many planes to get it, so I wouldn't really say it's worth it. Hunter F1 talisman back when it was really good. Right now I wouldn't really say the talisman it, neither with this thing. It's good, but it's not really worth it since, you know, you're already in the end of the line. For the Japanese, the tier 1 planes aren't really worth the talisman at all. The tier 2 planes is kind of similar. You got the J2Ms and the Ki-44s, which are good, but the guns are kind of stressful. The Ki-43 I wouldn't recommend, although it's kind of funny. The Ki-61s, the Ki-100 is good, but the guns are kind of bad because they're whole 5s. And Japanese 50 cals aren't the best either. Bombers, these are just a big no. F for you 1A, 109 E7. probably the best in here. The Ki 44 Otsu, you might think those are 40 mils, but those guns only go like 250 meters a second, 300. They're the slowest conventional guns in the games. Oh, they aren't really unconventional, they are the slowest cannons in the game. Just in general, the grenade launchers, they're not actual cannons. HK is actually pretty damn funny, but I wouldn't recommend to buy it. The A6Ms, they are good, but you know, it's kind of stale, and you're gonna have to go through a lot of them. The J2M2 is probably one of the best planes that is at tier 2, so I just got that thing, but actually tier 3 is gonna be on sale. A7M is potent, it's good, and the teams are good, so you might win a lot. Got a lot of ammo, got a lot of, the 30 mils are really good too, so you might even be able to ground pound with it after you're done. So getting in free good RP with this thing is happens very easily, and of course you have the premium bonus, so you might get a lot of silver lines as well. More A6Ms. You know, there's so many, and you know how the zeros are. If you like them, you like them, and if you don't, you don't. If you really want to get any zero, buy this thing. Just easily. The Ki 61 is not very good. This one is kind of funny because it has the 20 mils, but man, is it bad. Like, it's not worth your time. This one is kind of good, but it's also not. Like, Ki 61s are very, very lame to me. Very lame to me. I would say Ki 84s, if you want to get any of these, get the 5.7 one. The 6.3 one fights jets quite often, which kind of curbs it. I still love it because of the 30s, that's why I talisman it. It's my favorite plane in the whole Japanese line. But you have to like it. Ki 83 is really good. It's one of the best climbing props in the game. But it's a twin. So you have to like this thing. It's kind of stiff. It's a bit like a P38K if you do have it. So if you want to get that thing, feel free. It's not bad. J2M5 is good. Has good guns, but you only have 84 rounds a gun. So keep that in mind. J2M4, I wouldn't recommend it at 5.0. When you have this thing at 5.3, you can just talisman. M3 is better than the M4, I believe. Do correct me in the comments. I'll pin that if it's actually true or not, because I asked someone but he didn't reply yet. And one case, you know, 6.3 and this thing is just so horrible. You don't want this. You don't. If you like the N1 case, fly this thing. Rank 5, R2Y2s are getting his airspawn reduced, so they might not be worth it anymore. Otherwise I would say go for the V2. The V3 is very good as well, but it's 7.3, so that means fighting F9Fs, G91 pre-series, you don't want that, so just get this thing if you really want to. Kika, very strong. It's quite a good pick for a talisman. And the rest is kind of, I wouldn't recommend it. Italy, tier 1, really nothing. Tier 2, C202 EC is kind of funny because of the 220 mils, the German 151s. Rank 3, series CO205, series 3, very good, 4.0, so you can fly it with your body in this 109 F4. G55, also very strong. The guns, the Breda Safats are kind of bad. So this one might be a bit better because it has 3 guns, but it's 0.7 higher, so I don't really recommend it. The Spitfire, well, it's a Spitfire, you know what to expect, so if you feel like getting that thing, get it. This one I wouldn't recommend, although it has a lot of ammo, it's kind of funny. But I wouldn't say get it, because it's higher BR with pretty much the same performance as this thing, as far as I'm concerned. If I really say get anything, talisman the G56 if you have it, or have the G55. If you have the G55, you can grind everything up until the G91R1, and if you really want to talisman a jet, get the F84G. It still gets an airspawn for some reason, and it clubs quite hard, considering you don't get fully up tiered. French, this is a bit of a problem, because it's all kind of bad. This thing is very strong, but it's tier 1, so it's really worth a talisman. I wouldn't say so. This one is good, but if you want to get something, just buy the Yak 3 Premium. If you don't have anything yet, buy the Yak 3 Premium. That's the 2 Berezins, that's just like the one in the USSR tree. same rank. You might even be able to fly together. I'm not too sure how the matchmaker works. F6F is good, but I wouldn't talisman it. I would say get this thing. It's gonna go on sale for 800, which is very cheap, and then talisman this thing, which is also very cheap. Which is, oh, I have it, so I can't really say it anymore. I have another tier 4 here, though. It's around 1400. If, yeah, that's right. So it will be around 700, maybe 800. It's very good. FOU 7 is the FOU at 5.0 in the US line, which is this one. So not this one, it's this one. It's a bit better at high altitude, but it's at 6.0, so I wouldn't say get it. I wouldn't talisman it, even though it has very good guns and very good gas capabilities. If you use it for ground up B, just get it. F81B, it's the same story, don't get it. The 84 is kind of fun, but you know, it's an 84. I wouldn't really recommend it unless you want a ground pound. Then this thing is very good. Same goes for the one in the US line. For the jets, there isn't much. If you really want to talisman anything, talisman the F84G or talisman the Barugan or the Uragan. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too long-winded. I think it's going to be like 25 minutes. It was a bit of a long one. My throat is extremely sore right now. But I hope you got anything out of it. If you have any questions, if you have any remarks, feel free to put them down below in the comments. And that's about it. I upload every week, sometimes 2 a week. I'm going to have my holidays coming up, so I might be uploading a little bit more. But if you feel free to stick around, then be my guest. And I'll see you in the next one.